happy to be here? Yes. Say welcome to somebody. Quite a nice. You're welcome. Christian. Did you say good morning to somebody? Yes. All right, so you're very welcome to the launch of Neurodiversity Is My Superpower initiative. And it's happening live at the University of Education whenever not has ever before. We are happy to have all of you here. Our guests from Accra, you're very welcome, students, our head of department, senior members here. Thank you so much for coming. To begin the program, we would like to call on our own lecturer. He's a senior lecturer in the Department of Special Education. He's lovely called Paparazzi. Our own Dr. Winnie to give us the opening prayer. Let's give it up. You can go with them.
Let's pray. Our Father, we thank you for this opportunity to be. Thank you for sustaining, preserving our life. We commit this program into your hands. We pray for your presence. We pray for your leadership. We pray for your direction. We pray for your guidance. Open our minds, open our hearts. Give us that spirit of attention. Whatever that we shall present here, whatever that we shall lay here, Lord, let it have an impact in our lives, in our daily activities. Lead us and guide us as this is true. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. We affectionately call him Fancy. Fancy Doctor. Everybody say Fancy. Fancy. Yes. So in every house, we have people or elders who guide us. Is that not so? So in the University of Education, whenever in the House of Special Education, we have our dad, our head of department here. So we are going to have a welcome address because we are hosting the River Foundation for this interesting and very good initiative. So on this note, I'd like to invite our own head of department, our own Papa, Dr. Owani.
Thank you, Dr. Nair. Good morning to you all. I'm excited for this event this morning. I want to stand on other protocols and also on behalf of the Vice Chancellor of the University, the Dean of Faculty, the Registrar, and all the lecturers of our departments. We welcome everybody to this morning's event. This morning event is a unique one. Why is it unique? It's unique because the whole session is about unique people. It's about unique people. God created us, and then God created us differently. And because God created us differently in our society, we should learn to understand each other and then brace upon whatever God has given us. Because in the Bible, Genesis 1:1, God says that God created, after God created, He saw that everything that He created was good. Is that not true? Yeah, so in our translation, today's event is about neurodiversity. And then we will say that the thing that neurodiversity is my superpower. We are going to launch it today. And we are so fortunate to work with a foundation, core foundation, so passionate for working with individuals with neurodiversity. If you are saying neurodiversity, what are you talking about? Simply, as I would say, God has given us a gift. And so, with every individual has a mind, has a brain to think. So, we say that we are atypical. Or neurotypical. We say we are neurotypical. We are neurotypical because of the fact that we are able to conform to the society standards that is expected of each one of us. And some of us, we will be able to be on our own to do things without the support of others. But just like the hands are not the same, they are differently, but I can put the hands together to achieve some good results. If I want to use this one finger to eat breakfast, will it be possible? Or drink soup? The two will not work. But if I combine all, you see that when there's unity, there's unity and diversity. So we have individuals which God has created them differently from us. So they are the neurodiversity. And in terms of diversity, say in diversity there's unity and strength. So this morning, there are individuals who are created, who are born, and because of their unique characteristics or unique nature. For example, like children with attention deficit hyperactive disorders, children with autism, and those with dyslexia and others, they work differently, they behave differently, and they do other things differently. And we need to understand them as a society and embrace the capacity that they have. So this morning, we have seasoned people who are going to talk to us about this kind of people that we are talking about. And then when we are finished, we'll have an opportunity also to engage in a session where we are going to have a panel to have interaction with them. So that is basically what is going to happen. But I was so excited when Google Foundation reached out to us. So because special education, that's what we stand up for. We have a whole unit that caters for these individuals. We have a unit of intellectual disability and developmental disorders. So because of that, this lunch situates well within our university and within our department and faculty. So we have the dean, and we have the department, everyone. We welcome Google Foundation, and we welcome everyone that is here this morning. Thank you all. I believe that we're going to enjoy this.
You can go away. Thank you so much, Dr. Nana Owuahe Kelvin Echampo, aka Paparazzi. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to state that this program is backed by Google Foundation, KGL Foundation, University of Education, wherever, and then the SDGN. Give it up for them. Give it up. All these people in this program come on today. Next on our program, we are honored to have a representative from Google Foundation who is going to tell us the purpose of this initiative. And then also welcome us. Even though they are coming to whenever, they are also going to welcome us into their initiative. And to do that, we'd like to invite Ms. Belmonte. Let's give it up for her from the Google Foundation. You can do it better, do it better, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Oh, good morning, everyone. Good morning. I hope we're all well today. Yes. It's good to be here in Winnipeg. We are home away from home. And I stand here on behalf of my team that's present here, representing Google Foundation, just to first off thank everyone for being here today. I will go on to read my speech, which I wrote, but we're excited to be here today. Google Foundation is a 501c charity, and we're also registered in the UL and registered as an NGO in Ghana. And today, our search and our desire to support the neurodiverse community has brought us here today. So good morning, distinguished guests, partners, faculty, students, members of the media, and friends. On behalf of Google Foundation, I'm delighted to welcome you to the launch of our Neurodiversity Is, our Superpower campaign. Today marks the beginning of an important journey, one that seeks to promote awareness, understanding, and inclusion for individuals with neurodevelopmental differences. Through this campaign, we aim to shift the conversation from limitations to possibilities and from challenges to strengths. We are particularly honored to be partnered with the University of Education, whose department and unit of intellectual and developmental disorders has over the years played a significant role in advancing special and inclusive education in Ghana. Through teaching, research, professional training, advocacy, and community engagement, they have helped equip educators, support families, and improve the educational journeys for many and individuals with developmental disabilities. Their commitment to creating inclusive learning environments continues to make a meaningful impact across the country. At this point, you need to clap for yourselves because the department is doing marvelous in this space. Today's theme, Connecting the Dots, one testimonial at a time, reminds us that beyond every diagnosis, there is a story. Behind every challenge, there is resilience. And behind every success is a community of support. By sharing experiences and learning from one another, we can build a society that embraces differences and celebrates the unique abilities of every individual. I would like to extend my sincere appreciation to our speakers for today, our partners, and everyone who has contributed to making this event possible. Your support demonstrates that inclusion is not the responsibility of a few, but is a collective effort. As we launch the campaign today, let us commit to creating spaces where every individual feels seen, valued, and empowered to reach their full potential. Because neurodiversity is not a barrier to success. It is a different way of seeing, and as Doc said, experiencing the world. And that diversity is one of our greatest strengths. Thank you for being here and welcome to today's launch. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pearl. Give it up for her. Let's appreciate it. It's for the best. Let's take the Lord one testimonial at a time. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, head of department here, students here. This program partners are Cuba Foundation, KGL, University of Education, Winneba, SESA, which is Students of Special Education Association, and then SDSN. Give it up for them. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kitty Nanaya Lawson. I have a co-MC, and he's in the person of Dr. Nana Opoku and Champa. Give it up to him. So I'll be co-MC with Dr. Nana Opoku and Champa. Right, so next on our program, we are going to have a presentation from one of our seasoned experts from the Unit of Education for the Intellectually Disabled. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a fine lady who is very intelligent, very experienced, and above all, she's very humble. Help me welcome Dr. Priscilla Chimbo. Give it up for her. Dr. Priscilla Chimbo, thank you so much. Come on, better.
Good morning. Good morning. So I stand on the already existing protocols observed, and I say we are all welcome to this August program, and I'm honored, and I feel honored to have been the one called to do this presentation. So welcome again. So as I'm trying to get my slides up, I want us to share our thoughts on what neurodiversity means. What is neurodiversity? Can we have the microphone going round, and can we share our thoughts on what neurodiversity is about?
Students, you want Cuba to go thinking that you are not doing special education. Do you want that? Yes or no? Okay, so say something.
All right. Neurodiversity, to my understanding, is a natural variation of how the human brain thinks, learn, and also learn to communicate with the world around individual. That's neurodiversity. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have more views on what neurodiversity is?
Neurodiversity. Neuro, nerves, neurons, basically the brain. Diversity, differences. That as humans, our brain functions differently. We have different abilities, different thinking, different reasoning capacities. So it is simply the natural tendency of the brain of man to be different in terms of how it acts, reacts.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Doc. The natural tendencies for our brains to be different, and that influences how we think and how we act and how we respond to situations. Can we have more views? Yes. Any of our friends from sitting at the back, are you sure? Why are you all so quiet today? It's like you don't want to talk. Yes, we ask you.
Okay, so we have tips for those who will talk. If you are paying attention, it's true. We have tips. We have special hints. And then actually has special scores. So you answer a question, you speak, you get head marks. Do you want to lose it?
Thank you so much, Dr. Nanaya.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Just like the human fingerprints, the brain is also wired differently. So God has not created any two individuals with the same fingerprints. So same thing with the human brain. Our brains are wired differently. Even twins, they don't have the same capacity when it comes to the way the brain operates. So that is my understanding about neurodiversity. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So when we talk about neurodiversity, it encompasses all that you have said. That we are all different. We have different fingerprints. And so how we think, how we reason, how we process information, how we behave is different. And so my presentation today would center around what neurodiversity is. I'll also be talking about the neurotypes. I'll be discussing about the unique strengths of persons who fall within neurodiversity or who are neurodivergent. I'll also talk about the challenges faced by people who are neurodivergent, and talk about promoting inclusion, advocacy, empowerment. So when we talk, as you said, we are all different. Our minds are wired differently. And because our minds are wired differently, as we are even sitting here, we have different faces. We reason in different ways. We have different learning styles. But our learning styles and how we think kind of align to a certain norm of what society has drawn to be within the bell range of within expected acceptable. But we also have people who are different, they are differently able, and they are also different, and they have their own unique strengths and abilities. So when we talk about neurodiversity, we mean that we have to take into consideration that people who are neurodiverse also have their strengths, also have their challenges like us. Just that they process information quite differently. They may behave differently, they may also process information differently. Okay, so I guess that in every situation, the computer has decided to also work differently. Yes, but the computer also has deviated from what is expected, but it also has its strengths, and that is what we are discussing about, isn't it? Yes. Wonderful. So we have different neurotypes. We have within the spectrum of neurodiversity, we have people who fall within the domain of autism spectrum disorders. We have people who have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, as our honorable head of department said. We even have people who have sensory processing disorders, even people who are gifted fall within the domain of neurodiversity. People who are even gifted fall within the domain of neurodiversity. People who have obsessive compulsive disorders, anxiety disorders, people who even have depression. Because our minds are wired differently. And even though we all are different, as I said, we have to begin to perceive people or see people based on their strengths, based on their abilities. We should not be focusing on their deficits, that this person has these limitations. But if we look at perceive people because of their strengths, then we'll be able to appreciate them for who they are, and not what society is expected of them, which falls within the normalcy. So when we say neurodiversity, my superpower, I'll give an example of a person who is within the autism spectrum, has autism spectrum disorder. And a child, for example, may have, I know one gentleman, wonderful gentleman who has autism spectrum disorder, and he's non-verbal, he has sensory processing disorder, so he's very sensitive to light, sound, and he may get agitated. And he also has challenges, significant challenges when it comes to academics. But this gentleman, as I said, his mind is wired differently. So you have people who have great attention to details. So what you would ignore, they would be able to pick it and put it in place. So you hear parents of children who are on the autism spectrum who say that their child likes to arrange things in a certain order. And then there's a least change, then they notice and put it back in place. That is a strength. Because if this person were in school or this person is working, they would like to make sure that things go well, things are following the right order, and there are no mistakes. And it's wonderful to have people like that on your team, isn't it? So you have people who are neurodivergent, who have great attention to details. They have exceptional memory. What you forget, they will remember. You'll also have people who, for example, have dyslexia, but they are also creative in so many ways that you can imagine. Dyspraxia and so on. So I want to ask you, can you begin to think about anyone you know who people may have seen as different? their differences, how people perceive them, and try and think about the strengths that this person has that people were ignoring because they thought they were focusing on their deficits. Can we begin to just write that? Just 1 minute to write that. Anybody you can think of as you were growing up who was perceived as different, but had some strengths that if you go back and think about it, you realize that their minds were wired different and we were not focusing on their strengths, we were focusing on their deficits. Okay. So we should be able to know that we are different, and differences are not weaknesses, but if we focus on the strengths of individuals that we perceive as different because of how they think, how they behave, how they act, then we would be getting everybody along and not excluding people. So I would share some examples of other people who fall within the neurodivergent spectrum, but Ghanaians. So we have one gentleman called Jude Kofi. I believe you may have heard of Jude Kofi. He's a pianist. He's an American, but with Ghanaian heritage. And he is on the autism spectrum, but he falls within the dimension of those they call savants, musically savant. And he's able to hear you playing the piano, and he captures the notes in his mind, and he's able to replicate exactly what you have played. So he was never taught how to play the piano, but he was able to listen and get the sounds and replicated whatever he heard on the piano. And these are some of the things we're talking about: strength-based, strength-focused. Then we have a wonderful woman I know. She's Rosalind Trenati, and she is a dyslexia advocate and a hospitality expert. Also having dyslexia, but she's doing tremendously well when it comes to dyslexia advocacy all over Ghana and across Africa and worldwide. And that gives us the indication that it's not about the deficits. It's not about what we perceive, what society perceives as not corresponding within the norm, but working out our strengths so that we can help people reach their highest potential. Then we have Nanaya, she's the daughter of one wonderful autism advocate, Mary Amwa, who is a model and currently, I believe, working as a staff within Kempinski Hotel. So this gives us the understanding that, wow, these, as I said, write the names of people who you may have thought have been different and were thinking differently. Maybe or perhaps, if we had focused on their strengths, they could have been the Nanayas of our time. They could have been the Jukofis of our time. They could have been the Rosalind Trenatis and many others that we cannot mention. Despite these wonderful attributes, persons who fall within the domain of neurodivergence face a number of challenges. One, social challenges, school-related challenges, employment issues, and so on. This is not exhaustive. There are so many of them. Negative attitudes. Negative attitudes. Once you do not fall within the domain of what society expects, people begin to put a mark on you, and people begin to stigmatize against you. So, for example, if I'm always steaming or I'm rocking as I'm here, I'll give my presentation a bit, and I rock back and forth. Then I continue my presentation. You all be wondering, hey, what is wrong with this lady? I thought they said she's a doctor. What is happening to her? And they'll begin to think, give me names. And when they see me, they'll begin to tease me. People may not like to get closer to me because of what is perceived. And I may also, people who have neurodivergence, because of the negative stereotypes attributed to them, the most painful aspect is that they may also begin to self-stigmatize themselves. So it's not just society stigmatizing against them, but because of how society has perceived them, they may also believe that what society is saying is true. And so self-stigma may also exist. We also talk about late identification and late issues pertaining to late diagnosis. So you have people who would say that their children, they did not know, they saw that a child was different, but they didn't know what to do, where to go, or they were waiting for the right time where the child would grow out of what they see as different. And so they may not have, because of late identification. So you have persons with autism who may have been diagnosed late, people with dyslexia, and so on. And so they may not have been receiving the support needed to help them through their education and so on. High cost of interventions and support services. Yes, as a person, for example, on the autism spectrum, someone who has cerebral palsy, they may require some related services like speech therapy service, occupational therapy service, to augment educational support given them. And these services within our Ghanaian domain are expensive. So the person does not receive support that is needed. And inclusion is linked to providing support, making sure that individuals have the support needed for them to be, and that breaks barriers. And so these also serve as impediments and issues pertaining to exclusion. Then we also talk about educational and school-related issues, teacher knowledge and skill gaps. If I have a teacher has a number of students in class, and there's one child who is on the autism spectrum, one child who has dyslexia, one child who has a panic attack or chronic anxiety disorders, and they have challenges understanding this child, knowing how to support this child, providing the child with the necessary tailoring instruction to support the child. This child would not receive the necessary instruction tailored to meet their needs. So they'll be left out. We also continue inflexible teaching methods. So when we talk about gaps in teacher knowledge and skills, it's because before the child does not have the knowledge and skill set to support a learner who falls within the neurodiverse domain, then they will also not be able to make sure that their teaching and learning is flexible and tailored to meet the needs of their learners. So all these serves as gaps. Now the almighty large class sizes. One teacher has to deal with so many learners. How does the teacher juggle around supporting all learners and also supporting children who fall within the neurodiverse domain? limited human and material resources. Now, on Resolved Homeschool Partnership, there was a research I conducted, and the research found out that, yes, even though we said some teachers may have gaps in their knowledge and skills, and so are not able to tailor their instruction to meet the needs of students. There were situations where teachers had these skills, but parents also were not in agreement that they wanted it's like you have a round hole and you want to fit a square peg into it, right? So it shows that parents wanted things to be in a certain way. So they'll say that, teach my child like everybody else. Don't provide flexible teaching methods. Why are you making things different? Why is that my child is not learning as everybody? Teach my child ABC. So that brought kind of unresolved issues between the school, the teachers, and the parents. And that understanding from the parents that we can use other methods, or we can make sure instruction or teaching is flexible enough to meet your learners, your child's needs. But these were some of the challenges. And this was a research I conducted last 2 years. And you see that before a parent or a teacher, you need also parental consent, because all these things work hand in hand. The family, the school have to work together to ensure that persons who are neurodivergent receive the necessary educational support required. Now, I also talk about employment, because the expectancy is not to ensure that we are creating inclusive education, but we are also promoting inclusive employment. Because if I know some gentleman, one handsome gentleman who's on the autism spectrum, went through wonderful schools and all that, and at the end of the day, when his mates were transitioning to senior high school, there was nowhere to go. When his friends completed senior high school, he was walking about and there's nothing. And there comes a gap, a bridge, there comes a wall that we may provide all the wonderful educational support, but if we don't transition or start looking at inclusive employment options, then there's going to be a gap. So we have to bridging the gap between education as well as employment, and begin to advocate for inclusive employment for persons who are neurodivergent. So this picture gives us a depiction of diversity that we are all, as we talked about, but we want to ensure that persons who are neurodivergent receive support that meets their needs, whether in the area of social and community living, whether it's in the area of employment, whether it's in the area of education. We want to ensure that this is being done. Now we are looking at promoting inclusive communities and schools, and we talk about negative attitudes, negative perceptions, negative stereotypes about concerning persons who are neurodivergent. And one of the ways we can promote this is through community sensitization, awareness programs. And I remember last year, the Department of Special Education organized an awareness program that brought people who fall within, who were neurodivergent and who had other disabilities, had various disabilities coming in for a program and so on. So we have to do community sensitization. We have our wonderful faculty members who engage in community sensitization in various organizations. So that is one of the things that we should be looking at. Frequent teacher and parent training. Remember I said, yes, there are knowledge gaps. There are skill set gaps. But training should be both for the teachers as well as parents, so that parents can also begin to be accustomed to that there are various approaches that can be used to support their learners. It doesn't have to be the one-way stuff. And when parents come to that knowledge, they'll open up when teachers and schools want to provide varied methods of teaching to their learners. And that also goes to teachers. That there should be, that, for example, this program is, I think that it's wonderful because it's talking about training for in-service teachers, training for pre-service teachers, so that you can have knowledge about some of these issues. For learning. Yes.
Yeah. Hello.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm Christian Ananga, and Universal Design for Learning is a model that is being used in the engineering field, but then its principles aligns with the inclusive education policy. It means that Universal Design for Learning it advocates for diverse ways of meeting the needs of diverse students in our classroom. For example, you should have multiple ways of representation, you should have multiple ways of expression, and you should have multiple ways of engaging learners within a classroom setting. So in a classroom setting, we have various students that just one way of teaching may not address the various needs of the students within the classroom. In regards to assessment, using one way of assessing their academic performances or the work that have been done may not fit all of them. So you will have to vary your ways of teaching, your ways of engagement, and your ways of representation. Thank you.
That's my baby girl. Give it up. That's a gift for you. I think this gentleman deserves a gift. You answered your question, right? I made a contribution. Yes, give it. See? Me, I don't promise and fail. And then
I want to ask a question.
So talking about the application of the universal design for learning, I would like us to share. But since you're talking about neurodiversity, and you've done, let's talk about if you had a child who had dyslexia in your class, how would you apply the universal design for learning to support this learner? Anyone to tell us?
Yes.
Yes.
So let me explain the question so that you understand.
So someone with dyslexia, the person is unable to read this text. You have a passage. The child is not able to learn. Those who took English education last semester, hey, I'm going to take the math. Alright, so this child is unable to read the whole passage. Okay, comprehension cannot read. So she's asking, what would be the UDL you can do? What would the child do or the student do in place of maybe struggling to read? What would you do? What can be done? Yes.
Please, you can represent the text with charts, which will make it possible for the child. Probably the child can understand more by seeing or seeing the picture from us. So when you represent it with that, the child will be able to comprehend and explain it.
Okay, there for her. Any other? Yes, Christian.
Please, madam, we can use audio to read the passage for the child.
Give it up for him. So you can record the passage and the child listens. I'm able to answer the question. You see, that is a multiple means of doing things. Hello? Doctor.
Please, I can see the sign language. Can somebody give
Okay, so one of them, yes.
Yes.
Lady there for her of hearing to answer. She said she's fine. Right.
So the last one, if you have a learner who is on the autism spectrum and is unable to sit during the class time to take part in the class work. So it's very hyperactive, may also not be able to pay attention for long. How will you use the universal design to support this learner? Remember, we said multiple means of what? Representation.
Expression. Josie. Action and expression, right? So he's acting to answer. Beautiful. A beautiful you. Plus 10.
There are other needs of engagement, like storytelling, and then needs of maybe engaging into class exercises that lessons that involve the students into action. It's like you are engaging them with the lion. How we can them with respect in the class, we need the student to participate in what the teacher is teaching them. So active means of engagement, like storytelling, and also class activities like jumping.
Well done. That's a brilliant answer.
Then the very last one. Sensory processing disorder.
Okay.
So someone who has challenges processing information from the senses, like maybe when they see light, it gets so the little amount of light gets them agitated. Or maybe sound. The least sound they hear, even if it's a drop of the pin, then they want to block their ears, they are running off. Or this person always craves to sensory seeking, likes to hit themselves against things, or always wants to be moving. How would you support this learner in class when you are teaching using the universal design for learning? Or applying the universal design for learning?
Anybody? Okay, good.
Okay, thank you. So with regards to the to turn that strength into helping them achieve the lesson objective. Not just look at it as a distraction. We can help them in those regards. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Let's shine for him.
Let's shine for
Yeah. Okay, so you mentioned that they should use alternative means. So can you mention some of those alternative means? We appreciate that.
Yeah, so with regards to the rocking and then the banking of the table and other things, what we can do, especially, we can provide them with materials that they can be manipulating with to engage that energy so that it will not cause distraction for them in the class as well as other learners in the classroom.
Wonderful.
Let's shine for him. Let's shine. Is it what? Shine faster. Light. Actually, I think someone needs 20 marks.
Yes.
Great.
Once our GPD 233 coordinator has spoken, that's all. Yes. So the next strategy I will mention is the use of para-professionals, or what we call facilitators. So as I'm referring to the research conducted, and I found from that research, found out that facilitators play a key role in supporting teachers in class to ensuring that useful resources, human resources, ensuring that children, ensuring that they tailor instruction to meet the needs of children, some children who fall within the neurodivergent domain or spectrum. So the use of para-educators. When I say para-educators, I mean that you would have, as a teacher is teaching, you would have something like an assistant with a teacher who is trying to modify what is being taught by the teacher to suit that learner who has who falls within who is neurodivergent. So you want to ensure that the use para-educators or para-professionals are used in our schools, and that's one of the things that we advocate for. And talking about sensory processing disorders, creating sensory environments, ensuring that as we have sensory spaces within our schools, our classrooms, and various community places. Now, the focus is not just to education, but transitioning to employment. And one of the things that we will look at is workplace accommodations. So if you have a learner who has dyslexia and they have to have be able to express give some reports to their boss, they should have alternative ways for them to provide reports to their bosses aside reading and other things. So you want to ensure that we are providing workplace accommodations, frequent employer and employee training programs, so that employers would begin to see the strengths of people and not their deficits, so that if that is the case, we'll have many people within who are neurodivergent one gentleman told me that there's a lady who he works with. And after a program, he was like, he begins to now think back at this lady who he works with, because nobody likes to be with this lady. She's the person who likes to say that she says things as they are. It's like she says things without empathy, like she'll just say to your face and go. or not, and they behave and how they're always having arguments with people. So looking back, you realize that if they were aware that probably this person may, I use the word may, fall within that domain, they would have been more supportive towards her rather than everybody shying away from her, fighting her, and arguing with her, and all that. So this is one. Now, advocacy, self-advocacy, ensuring that persons who fall within the who are neurodivergent can advocate for themselves. Self-determination, they can make their own choices, decide that this is what they want to do. They shouldn't be curtailed because of their what we perceive as their deficits, but we should empower them to advocate for themselves. Family advocacy, professional advocacy, because as you are here, you are all training to be teachers and you are all training to be professionals, and it's your mandate to also advocate for people who fall within this domain. Empowerment. How do we ensure that people who fall within or who are neurodivergent have the power to do things, have the power to explore within to reach their highest potential? I talked about self-determination. Now, wherever persons who are divergent are, I mentioned that we have to ensure that whether it's in school, whether it's at the workplace, we are providing individualized support. You can have two people who are neurodivergent here, and head of department said that even our fingers are different. So if our fingers are different, then we should have individualized support, whether in the school or at the workplace, tailored to meet their individual needs. Circles of support, making sure it has to be intentional about those who are people around persons who are neurodivergent. Friends, family, people who are close. Because yes, the challenges exist in our communities, but everybody needs that support to encourage us that yes, these are, despite our struggles, despite what people perceive to be our deficits, we have strengths, we are owning our strengths, we are advocating for ourselves, we are breaking barriers, and so on. So you want to ensure and intentional about ensuring that persons who are neurodivergent have strong circles of support. I talked about accessible education and inclusive employment. So on this note, I want us to ponder on this. If neurodiversity is a superpower, what is yours? What is your, so everybody should write that. What is your superpower? Is neurodivergent? When you're a person, I want you to be people to support the highest students. As students, as we are here, before I take, I want us to thoughts. Respect differences. That there are strengths, there are challenges, but we should focus on the strengths as we provide support to ensuring that persons who are neurodivergent among us feel belonged, they are included, they can participate in all activities as we do. Avoid stereotypes. Right? We want to avoid, and how you think about it, and you realize that you have also said some of these. So avoiding stereotypes. Being a supportive friend. Be a supportive friend. Including everyone in activities. Listen to people's experiences. And I know I have a little time, but I would say it. I remember years back, I was teaching somewhere, lecturing somewhere. I was talking about issues pertaining to this. And one lady said she thinks that she falls within this domain, but she's not able to, it's ate her up so much that she never liked to have people getting close to her. And people also felt that she was too known, she didn't like people around her. But when she shared her story, everybody wanted to get close to her. So sometimes let's listen to people. Don't be judgmental. Let's listen to people's stories and be supportive of them. Speak against bullying. Speaking against bullying and celebrating strengths rather than weaknesses. So these things we can apply as students here. But as we move to industry and as we move into the various classrooms, to also teach, to do our internships, to take on our teaching roles again, we should remember these thoughts. On this note, I thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. You can go ahead. Thank you so much. You bear with me that was a wonderful presentation. Did you learn something? Give it up for everything. All right. So, where are technical men? Ima, Del. Right, we are going to do an activity. Right, so we are going, everybody get up. We are going to do something. Whilst you remember the panel discussion. You've been sitting for so long, so please get up. Right. We are going to do something we call Simon Says. Listen to me. Simon Says. So I'm going to tell you what Simon says. When I tell you, you do it. If Simon doesn't say it, you don't do it. You do it, you're out. Are you ready? Simon says, lift your hands up, left hand up. Simon says, with your left hand down. Simon says, use your left hand to hold your waist. Simon says, touch your left toe. Simon says, touch your edge. Simon says, touch your shoulder. Simon says, touch your lip. Touch your head. You are all out. Simon didn't say that. Did you get that? So let's do the last one. It's called Simon Says. The rule is that you have to do what Simon says. What Simon doesn't say you should do, don't do it. Simon says clap. Simon says hold your waist. Simon says touch your shoulder. Simon says touch your head. Touch your shoulder. Simon says wave your right hand. Simon says hold your right waist. Simon says keep high five to your friend. Simon says touch your chest. Simon says raise your right hand. Put your right hand down. says high five. Someone says beat your chest. Someone says move your waist. Someone says touch your toe, touch your knee. Okay, so these are the champions. We have fallen champions. What have we failed? Someone says, hold your ear. Someone says, touch your head. Someone says, with your friend. Someone says, shut your eyes. Someone says, touch your waist. Someone says, wiggle your waist. Someone says, shake your shoulders. Someone says, chest out. Someone says, head down. Someone says, touch your toe. Touch your knee. Someone says, with your left hand. Someone says, put your right hand down. Left hand down. Someone says, hold your waist. Someone says, lift your left leg. Someone says, clap your hand. Put your leg down. Did you enjoy that? That is also part of neurodiversity. See, I give you a chance to come through. See that all of us are neurodiverse, right? Okay, so I hand over to my co-MC, Dr. Anoko Bisham.
Simon is saying a lot, and it's getting us into trouble. Actually, couldn't survive it. All right, the time is set for us to have the panel discussion, and we are privileged again to have 3 panelists who are going to make us understand. 4 panelists that is going to help us further understand neurodiversity and how we can support them in our way in which as students, as professionals, and as community members. They are very important and we must recognize them. We have understood that almost all of us, even in one way or the other, find ourselves in here because one day or sometime in your time, you also become hyperactive. You also become autistic. I believe that because your signs and the behavior you put up someday, somehow, one way or the other, makes you also find yourself in such a situation temporarily. And so it is important for us to know that they are diverse in their own way and we should recognize and respect such individuals. Yes, to do us the honor, we have Dr. Priscilla Diego. Let's give it up for her, our presenter. She's coming again to help us in this discussion. We also have Mr. Enoch Ansan also coming to us. P1 is also here to help us digest the issue. And we also have Madame Mavis Owusu Asantewa. Yes. Give it up for her as she also comes. Yes, with the Cuba Foundation, she's going to help us also. Some practical experiences that she's going to share with us. And we have our own Papa, the HOD or the head of the Department of Special Education. Yes. Dr. Emmanuel Kwesi Owaki. We are all yes, we are. You are welcome. And All right, to help me moderate, also is my co-MC, who is also very good. There's a lot that is coming up here. Let's keep the room calm and listen to them. All right. So, also from the Global Foundation, we have Madam Rahel also joining us. Give it up for her as she also comes. Yes, give it up for her. She's also joining us. I think yes. So we are going to hear that side of it. I'm sure it's going to add up a lot to what we have learned so far today. Yes, panelists, we are and you are welcome again. Yes. Today our topic, as we know, is understanding neurodiversity.
Down.
Big man.
All right, so Dr. Diego is a lecturer in the special education department and also in the EID unit, education of the intellectually disabled. And then Mr. Kansa is also in the same unit. Yes, and also helping in the same way. We have Madam Mary Surusu Asantiwa with the Cuba Foundation. Okay, yeah, so my name is wow. So she is also with the Cuba Foundation and she is a mental health specialist. Yes, she also does it. And then we have Madam Rana. She's actually coming very soon. Yeah, so for us to understand this, the first question is, how would you define neurodiversity and why is it important to view neurological differences through the lens of strength-based? When Dr. Diego was presenting, we heard her emphasizing on the fact that we should recognize the strength and should focus on the strength of such individual. How would we define them and why should we emphasize on their strength? Since you spoke about that, then I'll come in with academians are here, so they should speak. All right. Yeah. HOD will help us, Dr. Emmanuel Achoko.
Thank you. So, as I said from my little speech, if you look at the breakdown of every word has been seen. So we have neurodiversity. And so when you talk about neuro, you're talking about neurons. So it is with the mind or the brain. And when you talk about diversity also means differences. So what it simply means that we are talking about neurodiversity, we are looking for individuals who reason or think differently. Thinking differently means that our minds are, as they said, has been wired or programmed in different ways. That means that when you see 2 or 3 individuals, we are not likely to behave the same way. But in our quest for social being, we think that they are standard that society expects of us. So we say that some people are typically, or they are typical or neurotypical. Neurotypical will mean that those individuals are individuals that will behave the way the society expects everybody to behave. If we are neurotypical, it means that society will expect everybody to conform to certain standards. And majority of us will behave that way. So we will say that we are neurotypical. Then there are quite a few number of them in the minority that will behave differently. So those individuals are those we classify as neurodivergent. But they have different types. So I think that's what I would say.
Thank you, Dr. Chempo. But the other side of the question is also very important. Why is it important to view neurological differences through the strength base? I think Dr. Diego can help us with that.
So, as Dr. Chapman said, why we have to focus on the strengths. So, I'll just use this analogy. If you have this friend who you are with, and the person always tells you, are doing this, you're always doing that, you're always doing this, you would ask them, so don't you ever see the good things I do? How does that make you feel? In that same way, when we talk about neurodivergence and their strengths, we should, just as anybody, they excel in so many ways. And they also struggle in other dimensions. So why do we focus on the challenges and we don't focus on the strengths? We have to focus on the strengths so that we can begin to look and perceive people from a different lens. If you look at somebody based on their challenges and deficits, what you perceive as their deficits, you perceive them in a different lens. But if you perceive me despite my weaknesses and my deficits, and you see my strengths, you see me as this or that, and you appreciate me, you value what I have to bring on board. And once we do that, we are going to look at persons who have different divergences from a different lens. We are now going to look at what they can do, what they can contribute based on what they can do. And that is why the focus should be on their strengths. And once we do that, they'll be excelling very well academically at the workplace in various domains of their life, because the focus is not on the deficits, perceived deficits, I use that word, but they're focusing on the strengths, their abilities, their interests, and their preferences. Thank you.
Thank you. In your presentation, you mentioned a number of them. Can you really emphasize it for us, the new examples of neurodivergent individuals?
So we have people who have autism spectrum disorders. We have people who have attention deficit hyperactive disorder. We have people who are or have dyslexia, people who have sensory processing disorders. For example, those who have sensory modulation disorders. We have people who have sensory discrimination disorders, among others. We also have people who have anxiety disorders, chronic anxiety disorders, obsessive compulsive disorders. People who even are gifted are also part of this.
So it's not exclusive, and I should say that there are very many. She cannot mention all, but HOD also want to add to that list of individuals. Let's take note, and some of these individuals, we can't close with them. We should recognize that they must be respected. I think she mentioned that in her presentation. Be respected as individuals and also supported in our own way. So, HOD.
So some of the common ones among the CBR, what you can see that we can talk about children with cerebral palsy. They are also belong to this group. We also have Down syndrome, and then individuals with learning disabilities, the length of it, we have different types. We have dysgraphia, dyscalculia, and so on and so forth. So those individuals are important, and those with speech and language disorder. So or others also have difficulty processing, sensory processing disorder. The way you reason, the way you think, others have different way of doing it. So all these individuals can also be classified as individuals with neurodiversity.
Thank you so much for adding up to it. Why should the university lead this conversation? Why is it the university we are thinking of leading this conversation of neurodiversity and inclusion? I think that should also go to the academia. Yeah. So,
all right. All right. So the university is a center of knowledge and ideas, and at the same time, the university is the one that trains the future teachers. As we are here, we are in the university discourse community, and this activity is ongoing here. At the end of the day, we are training teachers to go out and teach. So if the university should champion this activity, at the end of the day, the policymakers out there, the medical doctors, and all other professionals in this country are being trained in various universities. So if at the end of the day, those who train lead the advocates or lead the path, then at the end of the day, the stigmatization, the stereotype out there would gradually be eradicated. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Okay, so adding to it, we know that the university has three core duties. The university is to teach, the university is to research, and the university is to do community service. So in terms of this area, we have students that we are teaching. These students are supposed to go to the field and impact into our communities. And these are there are issues about the stigma and stereotype within the society. So we believe that at the university level, if once we are able to communicate these ideas and our students have this knowledge, they will go to the field and impact their communities. So that is one of the things. Apart from that, the university also conduct research in these areas and inform the general public and the society. And once you conduct this research, I believe that sometimes a mother who has a child with a neurodiversity or a child with cerebral palsy, if you engage the parents, there are so many things, they haven't gone to schools, but they are finding practical means of accommodating these children in their houses and their society. The university will be when they are conducting research, we want to learn best practices, what works with them. The interventions that they are adopting, we can also build on that, and then also listen and then maybe look at what others are doing elsewhere. And then we bring that home and apply them in the principle, we see the one that works in the work for us. In terms of the community work, community support, we think that the university should impact whatever we are doing in the society. And sometimes, directly, for instance, we could come to the Center for Hearing and Speech Services. We go to the field, we attend parent, educate parents. The legal cases that are referred to us, we address them. The school teachers are also bringing these cases to us. And practically, we reason together and we do that. So we think that the university should have a bigger say in this one so that we can make meaningful contribution as far as the society is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So a little add to that. You know, sometimes we say we are advocates, but the information we send out there determines whether the advocacy is making impact. So you see people, especially when it comes to health advocates, you see a lot of people doing advocacy online, and they are telling people what they think it should be. But we all know that in the academics, there are principles, there are procedures, there are standardized procedures. If you come to the clinical service, there are standardized way of assessing a child anymore. So you can't just see somebody challenge the rest of the opening here, you look autistic, And this is what the universities have to do, because they have the language, they have the academics. When they are leading advocacy, they give us the right information. So when Doc was doing her presentation, a lot of things was going to our mind. So we've left the classroom for a very long time. We are starting to forget what we even lessons because we are working with experience. I have been at the psychiatric hospital for 13 years. And now, I am no longer doing what school is teaching us because the people that are coming are not school items.
But yes, though, I'm being guided by the principles. Because you can't just diagnose or just using two conditions and say, oh, you look this. So when the university leads, the knowledge that is being sent to the public is rectified. It's knowledge that is actually well informed. So I think the university does. But I have a question for Doc. Because we are still learning. So we are now defining neurodiversity as the way you are thinking. So when you think differently from the regular, then which means you can or cannot see you are neurodiverse. So what of those people that think that they are male, but in actual sense they are female? Or those that are females, but then they are male? And those that have babies, but they still feel like they should sleep with others. I want to be blunt. Yes. And this is something that we are asking with the LGBTQ. That's the last class. So with the last class. These are people that don't have physical disability. So this kind of disability I'm talking about are not people with physical disability, but with neurodevelopmental or mental health issue. So this is a person that says that I look like this. But I think, because we all know that we're a man with the things, but you think that I feel like a woman, or I'm still a man, but my sexual preference is a man. Where do you put this?
I think for this, I think we know that it's very debatable, and it's still something that is on the national front. It's difficult to stand here, and sometimes. I don't know, but it will be as if you are aligning with a group here and there. What I think is that with neurodiversity, these are natural tendencies. But if you look at what we are bringing up about the gender issues, the natural tendency, the natural thing that we are talking about, seems not to be there. So yes, if we want to classify it under that could be agreed on. But this is natural, and so there's no agreement that is how they were made. Yeah. So I think this is difficult to actually respond. Yes.
Okay. Hello. Okay. So let me ask something to you. So I would say that that's why in my definition, I tried to also to talk about neurodivergence and then neurotypical. And neurotypical means that in society there are standards. That's why this time we are going to parliament and others to pass laws. So what the bigger society seem to be correct or some seem to be right, but sometimes because of the lack of knowledge, the certain knowledge that you don't have about certain conditions, the society also tend to treat people anyhow. And that's why we have to make the knowledge, relevant knowledge about the cases of the categories that we are talking about known to the general public. And we try to conscientize or make conscious attempts to bring that on board so that the bigger society will understand people when they behave in a certain way. But notwithstanding that, we shouldn't also give a blanket statement that because I think that others are different, we should accept anything. That's why we give even the that they themselves sometimes they release a certain way, we also need to support them, also to help them, also to conform in a way that we don't allow them that this is how I am, so I should accept it that way. That is how I believe. So we should also address it. So I think that is a win-win affair where we also need to make sure that when we are doing research and doing anything, we are think about internationally what are standards, what is acceptable. And then we should also be tolerable in our attempt to do that. We should not impose. So we should not try to impose our way or standards on others. Otherwise, there will always be difficulties. But we try to see which one are permissible and which one conform to the society. So we work from the clinical point of view, and then from the academic point of view, and then we try to strike the balance.
disorder, some learners with intellectual disabilities, and those with learning disabilities, dysgraphia, dyspraxia, dyscalculia, and the like. So it is basically delimited to those with those difficulties. But if I don't have autism, I'm not autistic, I don't have cerebral palsy, no intellectual disability, and I begin to feel that, yeah, actually, I feel like a man, I think like a man. Though I'm a woman, but I think that gender identity quite different from this neurodiversity. So let's get it clear.
Thank you so much. Yes. So I think this makes it clear. Yeah. It's not your feeling, it's not your thinking, but actually what is happening. Yes. So the autistic child is not thinking so because he wants to think so. It's the mind's activity. So it becomes difficult to group such individuals too. Yeah, so what are some of the early signs that educators and parents, I think parents is also here, educators who see in children that are neurodivergent? Let's start from the parents.
Good afternoon. My name is Rachel Adom. So I'm a mother, and I think I have a lot of children, so not into one specialist child. Yes, so really, I came out like, why don't I do something? I gave birth to my first son 2014, and this neurodivergence, sometimes the children grew 2-3 years before you see them. But my son, right on the couch during delivery, there was a bulge on his back, and his was spinal bifida. Not even the minor one, but the extreme one, minor meningeal. So right from delivery, referred to the teaching hospital, then to Hollywood. So day one, I realized that my boy is a special need boy, that I have to learn and encourage myself and see how we can support him. So even at Hollywood, we were fighting for his life. So from day one, so as a mother or as a parent, I prepared myself from day one. Now, what can I do to support my boy, my son, to survive, to thrive? So from there, we refer back, we have to go for physio because surgery was done at the spine, and we started with doctors before even the surgery. So before the surgery, we were told that probably the mind, he had neonatal jaundice, and neonatal jaundice can result in cerebral palsy and other conditions. So we have to take away the blood, do blood exchange for him. So we're told that he can be hyperactive, he can be down, a lot of things, but we said, okay, we'll accept anything that can be brought in, so we'll fight for his life. So we did everything that we could. In 3, 4, 5 months, we referred back to the teaching hospital. So right at the teaching hospital, at the physio, he started physio. Even before the surgery, he started the physio because we want the boy to survive. And we don't know every child. Every child is unique. I don't know what the child has for the nation and even for the world. So being a parent, and maybe we think that this will be our only child. So we have to do all that we go to make sure this boy thrives. We started a physio, or we continue with the physio. So I'm kind of like, how I supported my community as a special parent. So I'm a community and the practice for 12 years, and this is my good friend as well. So at the physio, starting going to 2014 and nursing a special needs child, no excuse at work. So I have to get caregivers to take up my son, go for physio, go to work. So at the physio, we realized that a lot of parents come with their children, physical disability, cerebral palsy, they have to do physio. So I asked the physiotherapist, why is this boy 7 years is still not recovering? He said, oh, sometimes they default. Some they have divorced and others have been neglected by the family. So this is how it resulted, 7, 8 years, still lying down. Then I asked them, what can be done? So I came with my husband, without son having surgery, we are even working it out, he can see, he can do something for himself. So I gathered parents, mothers, especially single mothers. Then what can we do for you? So we don't have transportation, the support is not, and I said, no, I'm coming from Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, and I live around, and I work at the Sadio Health Center. So I decided as a committee members, let me visit them. So upon visiting them, we realized the children that are there that if they should do physio, if they should go for speech therapy, the children can do something. So that's why I came out. Then I said, no, maybe we have to recognize, like we have to register an organization that, because I recognize the 50% probably they get. So I really invited them to my home. After working with my husband, we assist them in the room. Some go for physio when they can. They have to make sure they have good diets. Because when they don't eat, they'll be rolling. And they give them these carbonated drinks. So I make sure that children that are neglected, we join them, we'll monitor them. You see that they're rolling. That's what can we do. We have to cut down the carbonated drinks, like other things that are not so helpful. By so doing today, we have children who are going to school who were neglected. We have sent them to school. Children were not able to communicate. Like Down syndrome, I have two in my home. Children in the community that brought them to my home. And those times they were hiding. Because one girl is 12 years. Last week she was on New TV. She was dancing.
Most of them were mobility wise.
Yes, okay.
Challenges.
Yes.
And so he couldn't, even the child you are talking, your child.
My child, yes, he's
what about his language?
With the language so better because we started early. So right at COVID, because the doctor said
you started early. Early intervention.
Yes. Early intervention because they told me probably after the last day, you later join this, it will result in several projects. So right after the surgery, I'll chat to Cornelius. How are you? How are you doing? My name is Mrs. Sado. You are Cornelius. I love you so much. So we started in different languages.
Beautiful.
And we started with. So when you leave your person, as soon as I communicate, do I talk to my son?
If you
you, they don't have even a caregiver.
Wow.
Because they see my body when it's peace. They say, what are the parents?
Which is not, people don't get that opportunity.
Yes.
So many children of such
Not at all.
don't get the opportunity.
Yes.
So she or he was lucky to
lucky.
have this.
So we started earlier with music, with communication. Now you can speak Aja, yeah. You can speak Chinese, English. Oh yes. You can speak different languages. Yes, and he sings. He's a musician and having his own song.
Whoa! Yes, we take that version again. For me, I am interested in the experiences that the people share, parents, caregivers, and others. Those are the ones that will actually cement whatever we teach
students in class. They get to know that some of the times when you are teaching this, they feel you are just teaching some abstract thing, but people live it. People live it, and that is what we want to share. After this panel discussion, we'll have that opportunity. Yeah, you also want to add to it.
Yes, so I have a different specialty. So mine is house.
Yes.
It is maybe that the teachers are clapping because honestly the problem we have is the teachers. I never knew we had this whole special education. I didn't know that. Because you go to the school, if you take every school, it's only two that will go to the child. And the private schools that do not have special equipment that they are paying children. So I keep asking myself, what happens to especially kids will tell you, meet me child of family, meet me, and that is special. So the problem we parents are battling with, it is not health, it is education. And we have been campaigning for inclusive education, and they are policies by yesterday. They are not educated. Some of the sciences we go straight to. So I had a child with Down syndrome, and we have a payment and care in support group. So I think there's symptoms actually not across. But I think you have to be doing research because now the symptoms are changing. So initially, most of our children Down syndrome, at least 79% of them comes with the holding hands. Most of them comes. So when you start hearing that one will holding hands, you start looking at the child, they're looking at the Down syndrome. Then they normally comes out not crying. Almost all of them. After delivery, we do ANCA score and they fall below the ANCA score. So they are visible enough that the moment delivery is done, we see it. But the sad part is that I delivered at the Rich Accra, which was not Rich Hospital. I was giving a staff idea. But one day I delivered a child. Me myself, people I was exhausted because the delivery took long because the child was very flat and very soft. So I'm sure the strength was not there for the child to push. And the normal circumstance, I'm sure the health personnel should have given that a cesarean section immediately. But they were still insisting push. So if there was to be a delay, I'm sure that would have been added to the Down syndrome. This child came out. Everybody will see that this is not a regular child. But not even a single midwife took the time to explain to me that this is Down syndrome. I might be even a professor, but when it comes to this thing, it's not Professor Magla. That instance, nobody said anything to me, give me my child that there is no bed. So I should go. And this child was looking fluffy, looking yellowish. So I think when we started the parents and caregivers for it, I noticed that most of the parents had the same symptoms. So having the jaundice, looking fluffy, looking pale. My child was not smaller, she was bigger. But the head was not proportionate to the body. The head looked smaller, with the tongue bigger in the mouth, with the flat nasal. You can actually see the fingers and the toes were quite short. And even if let's assume that you don't know, but when you see the child, you know there is a problem. But nobody said anything. I saw the child. So me myself at the point in time I was like, hey, because I'm working as a head doctor, so this is not the I didn't even remember this information, but I knew this is already. So I have to actually go to I think that is somebody should have told me where to go. So I have to listen to this, okay. So I have to go to the before the said, oh,
I think the microphone
it's not getting there. So you know, so I myself I have to take my child to the whole unit before they start telling me, oh, you have to start physio. So imagine if I had stayed home for 5 years before coming out, I would have delayed. So the same things for children, even now with the cerebral palsy, they are visible when you give birth at the age. But I think now the symptoms are changing because now I had a parent who had a child with Down syndrome. The child came out okay, with not that round face and all this one. But I think as the child was growing, the symptoms kind of more visible. So I think now we have to do research. And now they used to say that for parents at the age of 35 years and above who are not treated. But we have about 200 parents on the platform. Not even a single one gave birth to a child below like when the child was even more than now was around 20 years, 20. So I think now the trend is changing. So the symptoms are there, not able to communicate. Even though she receives speech therapy, you can still feel the communication that is not actually. So there was something when I saw sign language. I think we should really encourage it for those who can speak. That is not clear.
Yeah.
So a child without sound should really learn sign language to make it easier for us to communicate. They said they're doing sign language in nursing school, but I asked her good morning and she can still was explain. So I think there's a lot of work to be done. And a lot of special educators, almost all of them should have learned sign language because we are doing special education for special people. And you can only communicate to one particular group, then there's no diversity involved. So please, thank you.
Thank you so much. You know, we're changing. Yes, and research must go into that. Yeah, so we update the knowledge. Yeah, we have talent with the arts.
So from this is just like a reaction from yeah. So I think that you make the life clear. For us, we believe that social education has maybe been at another level beyond something. People should align health and then Africa cancer and other things where they act as a So now we've come to know that social education, because they are not put out together like that nationally. That is why we are not able to have a common platform of front to champion of this agenda. So recently, I think they are doing a launch or a bid of National Association of Social Educators. And I believe that once that has been set up, we are going to have all our people on the platform, and then we can only assign, if parents are somewhere, we want to know that, oh, members of them are here, if you need support, you can reach out to this person. So those things, I get they are clear that it can be. Our department have almost over 2,000, we have almost 2,000 students who are doing special ed, and rehabilitation. And rehabilitation, because they are having other issues, because of this, that's why the professional issues are important, because sometimes the students from public and in the normal mainstream, where to recruit them are even issues. But we are working and straightening all these issues. So I think that is the best way to go. So coming to complement what you say, I work with the Center for Care and Peace Services. For the past, I think since 2001 up to this time, I've been at the role of the speech. And they will be supporting mothers and parents. And sometimes we have centers like those people are structured organizations that are able to work within their communities. And then sometimes occasionally bring parents and caregivers and bring their children for some specialized attention support. They do that quite a lot. And then is there now you see that what once you when I engage with you, I can look at you socially, you can see that they are not ready to engage you, to look at you. Others will be ready to play with inanimate objects, toys and other things, play with their friends and others. In terms of their preference, sometimes what they want, that is why we are like why we the dress they want, the color they want, you always want to attach themselves to that kind of thing. So we can manage as early as you can see some things. And even food choice, when it comes to food, for instance, eating habits, they are poor and all those things. So these things are there. But for me, coming from the background of administration and as a professional or specialist, I would say that we need to do more quality with parents and then giving support to mothers and individuals that have this condition. I believe that the department will now stand tall. We are seeing, we are looking for partners and creators like you to work with. And then as we are being day to day, you wanted some agents from us, and then after we promise that we will let some of our students come to your facility, work with you. That's what you have to do. And then we also reach out to centers and places where we can make contribution in terms of that. Because when our students are coming, they are not coming to charge you, they are coming to offer services. And then we work together, and then we can make Mother Ghana a happy home for us.
All right. So I also just want to add a few of the early signs, as in poor motor coordination. You know, we have the fine motor skills and then the gross motor skills. So at the early stage, you realize that this child is unable to use the fingers, which is the fine motor skills, back then of the shirts and some minor stuff. And then at the same time, with the gross motor skill, these individuals find it difficult to hop, jump, sometimes walk, you understand? And sometimes walk through a certain path or channel. So these are some of the early signs, and also especially talk about, that when a child is born, within some 12 months, we expect that the child should be able to babble and then start doing some stuff. And then at a certain age, we also expect certain stuff. So if you don't see all these signs when you give birth to this child, then it should tell you. You understand? So these are some of the early signs you see in the child, and then it could give you a clue.
Right. Thank you so much. Some of these children actually are in the mainstream schools. Majority of them are in the mainstream schools. What are some of the challenges they face in those schools?
So please, with the challenges in the mainstream, I think like maybe the main So other schools, I have 2 children, another ministry. That one too, I went and they accepted him. But getting to know what can be done for the child, for me the parents, so that even if you cannot, but even if it's educators. So I think that is a big gap too. Because if you don't I'm a nurse, I come around, why is the child to what can we do? They don't even refer us to the social educator. So I don't sometimes some patients when somebody paying the day, why you get paying what they maybe ask her, maybe she cannot write. So what other things she can do? My boy like this in classes, I can see he can solve it or contribute to a class. It says he contributes about writing. He doesn't like writing much. But when it comes to he will say it. So I was thinking maybe they can complement it this way or that way. No inform us. So I see that's a gap. And really going to change it to think what can we do? So I think to me that's a gap, especially educators.
So on that, I'm happy that you have raised that. So now there's an attempt from GS to liaise the schools. Looking at a special educator, in your case like this, the person is supposed to liaise or communicate the child, the background information to GS. So at GHS, the school decided that they are going to assess him orally. That would be the means that the school do. And the tech was also allow an examination in that form. But the situation where you don't have that, the child is also taught like any other person. And then they get to the corner and they say, you want that child to be exempted to write the list or other thing, then that's an issue. So now that it's about to enter GHS, if you are education regional coordinator or something, people try to get to office and then tell them that I've told you that provisions are there. But we work together, so the same guy in the office, all those who are there, we are made a practice. So once we get some of this, we can push it. Thank you.
I just
Kita at Cal, is it Cal West? That please just find a way to what your numbers. I don't know if you see this here. Rachel, say hi. Yeah, she's a child of counselor. She went to this year. And they were really happy about it. Initially, there was we went to demonstration before that started. If you don't tell the parents those physical language like they have to start training the child. The special coordinator, she was just one, but all the schools in the West, she was, and that's what she was saying. She was moving from one school to another, and you know what? She would get there, and the teachers even in the school, she said they have relaxed. There are some children. So when we're writing the EC this year, you have to set breakfast times in the same. That has special because I went for the national list for those with special needs and breakfast times just to encourage them. But yes, there were some children who was reasonable and teacher has been teaching this child since she gets one. So let's assume that me and the parent, I don't know. Teacher, you please identify this. So those are the gaps that we are having in the schools. Teachers and some of them have mental assessments. That's fine with teacher. When you bring your child to the hospital, we expect too much. Especially psychiatric patients. They are beating you at home, but when you get to me, you expect it to do much. So when we bring our children to you, we expect it to do much. You said you have done university for 4 years, so the magic for us. So if the magic is not magic, let's communicate. What can we do? I need a recorder. I knew GES was supposed to buy recorders for us. They said there is no recorder. No problem. One day told me I was in Switzerland with the head grandpa. I went to a shop to buy a recorder and bring it. Some mother cannot afford, yes, but if you tell the mother, every single mother will find ways to make sure. I bought my recorder. They started, so what I do is for me, when they are coming home, they bring the recorder. I play to hear what they have done. When I played and there was nothing on the net, me and that school, we nearly in fact died in my school. When I got PTA, that we do not sit well with you. And I think some of the mothers too, we're going to say for a baby, matter, you're not going to GP. We are not, I'm not saying that it's respectful, because when you come to the hospital, when you go up and deal with asthma, they don't do like that for the teachers. So you have to pay, and you are saying that you are still extra. If you are having a challenge, that is why you have parents and you talk to me. Your child must, if you say it's an university, there are some instances, oh, we told the mother, or sister, yeah, the child that you have done your portion. But some still do not do. So please, we beg you, you need special education. When we bring our children to the public school, do magic. Do the magic. And my daughter finished the piece. I was so, I sang as a son, but I felt like, so these are children that are wasted. At least, I've called Canada, I've called Muslim girls. They will admit her because they are saying they are educated, whichever way they are going to deal with her, because it shall be right, treat it right faster. And the way I'm going to become of the village is to shoot it. So, you see, and the school was afraid of it because one, maybe it was a social media.
All right. You asked yes. So thank you for sharing those experiences. That is from a mother's perspective, experience. Is that okay? It's like hands-on, maybe what we call it in the classroom for learners to do something. This is real life experiences that she's sharing with us, and that is informing essentially that we have to really look at some of our courses, introspect data. We have to highlight some of the topics, bringing certain issues on neurodiversity, especially how to identify them. So we look at the classroom, and some of the teachers, they might have read special education, but they have limited knowledge in neurodiversity. I get to the point. They have limited knowledge in neurodiversity.
For autism, we only teach it in introspect. That is when we teach autism. Intellectual disability, introspect, except those who with EID, they will get to know more about it. Communication and speech disorder, those who with EHI, and maybe introspect one topic in it. Then you come to learning disabilities, it is only in introspect we read it. That can just one day cannot be enough for them to develop their capacities to handle those things. Another challenge is identifying them. They have limited capacity, they have limited knowledge about those with neurodiversity. How to identify them is another problem. How to differentiate instruction of these learners is quite difficult. And you see, most of our teachers that we train here, they are not recruited, so they complete, and some of them are in the houses. Those who come on study are few, and Ghana cases have proposed them to some of our special schools and some of the inclusive schools, and then some in offices to be coordinators. So those outside there might be those who only into correct one course in special education, and because they have got the opportunity to teach in those schools, they claim that they are very special education. So let's take note of that. But we are doing our best to develop the capacities of the measures. So we really love to get to know more about them. We can handle those. But we're exposed to the dynamics of educating those things.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think the passion with which parents are speaking, and I can only sit here and identify with it. As a parent, and as a professional. So I began to reflect. Now, I agree that in the schools, there's a problem. But what I would say is that just like every society, we have the bad lands. Okay. I want to recall that in the hospital, the original one, when you give them with all the physical, it tells you that it's a multi-aspect problem. So the health at that point also to do something good. And then educationally, there are people there. The other thing is that somebody goes to read something little, a special educator. It's not. Majority of those people who are telling you that I'm a special educator, they may not be. Okay, because I was surprised. I'm not saying they're all perfect, but at least to have knowledge on this child has some problem. I will not be able to do the magic, but there will be something I can do to support the child. The empathy will be there. So I like to say that for the majority of people who say that the special education person is there and there's nothing, for all you know, they didn't read special education. And then those who went to the colleges, like the colleges, it's just a course that to one semester and that's it. So it's a whole national conversation. I'm happy we are having, and I'm sure that the policymakers, all of us have this. Papers will have to come out of this program. We have to send the information there. There are lots of individuals who are starting education. They are jobless. And let me tell you, Santa, you know what? US has poached the best. To be honest with you, the best that you have, we now say Japan. They have all Japan. Exactly. In the country, they are everybody buying. So that's the thing. If you have a human resource and they are not getting the work to do, then Japan becomes the route. That's the point. So I like to say, not to defend Nigerian professionals, but that's the way this is. It's a whole systemic thing. You have to have a rethinking about, and it's not attitudinal. Someone can study special education and still say, it's inherent, and it's perhaps an issue. My child was in a class with another child that didn't speak. Then I said, I'm not doing that. And he can't talk. I said, yeah, talk to her. And then other people too say that maybe it is in class with my child to go, so I will remove my child from the school. This is systemic. It's attitude. So beyond all of the professionalism, there's attitude that's a big canker to fight, right? So it's gradual. And for me, I like to say that I want to see the glass half full than half empty. We have come far some way, somehow. Then look at why back in the day, she wouldn't have been able to, yes, but it's all because of, and it's not only the Because behind the scenes, we have professors in special education who are working with our own staff. Personally, I run my shop for while teaching the development officers what they need to do. And then they have accepted. So when there are accommodation sent, then they call us, okay, this person says this, what can we do? This person says the report says you can't see in depth. And the person is to measure damage. What do? We provide all that, but you see, it's not on the internet. So we are also trying some ways to support the system. But I'm saying that it's a more systemic thing. We have to have a rethinking. Our professors have done a lot to bring us the back. Back in the day, the kids were hidden, but today they have schools. So we have done something. And then we pray that will only get better. Thank you very much.
Even last year or something, my wife was one of our students to go and pray for special adjustment for the wife exams. So we brought some staff there to run special workshop. We brought them here to train them. So that alignment is there. And then in our institution, I was also one far. Out of the special education students, we force and then like the professor, when we to the to force the university to allow every second year student as well to take education. So on the way, if you're not dealing with equipped with the practical skills, I really have knowledge and at least have the ability to accommodate children to some extent. So their effort, I think that we need to refactorize that and then do more on this game.
All right. Thank you so much. We've had a lot, but all right. So that is what we have for now. And we also want to acknowledge Professor Yao Medu Ofe, who are guests joining us. You are welcome. Pioneers and some of the individuals that have worked so much in special education for us to see what we are seeing today. Yes, it's because of their hard work. We thank you so much for your support. Yes, so we are going to round up the discussions, but with something that we need to talk about. So the misconceptions that we have society. In fact, we can mention them because we know. Yes, but how can we overcome some of these misconceptions? What can we do to improve upon the attitude, the knowledge, and others that is preventing this?
So talking about the misconceptions, and as the discussion was ongoing, it took my mind back to when I was much younger. And I have a friend who is, I would say, gifted, or she was doing so well. And she had to mask her abilities because of the perception that she's too good. She's excelling by excelling. So because she had to cover, so that's at the other side for those who are not gifted. She has to mask because of those misconceptions around in her community that, okay, you are too good, you are a witch, you are this. And so she had, and that affected her so much. So she got people to speak, counsel, and guide her to come out of that shell. Because every time, if she could do and get 10 over 10, she would deliberately do her assignments so that she would get 5 over 10 or 4 over 10 because of those misconceptions. About, for example, Volkswagen. So, yes, as we are talking about those with intellectual disabilities and all, there are also those who also are on the other side who also have to deal with that. And as we talk about constant training for teachers. So as we are here, the training, the seminars for parents, community leaders, that these conditions, these situations are there, how can we identify these early identification? What are the early identification signs? There is some of these misconceptions and how to demystify them. So like one I gave of those who are gifted. It's good, it's okay if you are excelling. There's nothing wrong with it. We can discount your strengths. We can, and that also have their challenges and let them navigate in the same way we do. If somebody also had intellectual disabilities or the person had autism or dyslexia. So thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Dr. Winnie.
Yes, Dr. Winnie, want to add to how to address these misconceptions.
Yeah, so the misconceptions are these, that one, something they are lazy. Is that okay? But you see, until you work with them, that is where you get to know that these levels are not lazy. Until you identify their competencies and their abilities. You see, the problem is that we just focus on their disabilities. We just focus on what they are able to do. But in life, it's not like that. All of this we are weaknesses, not it. If you want to pursue your weaknesses, you will never grow. Identify your strengths, abilities, pursue that, and you succeed. So for these levels, one, they are not lazy. Two, they are not stubborn. Three, we think that they are not intelligent. Neurodiversity is different from low intelligence. Is that okay? And I'm sure the others here will testify to that. The fact that they are neurodiverse doesn't mean that they have low intelligence. It's not true. False. And not at all. Yeah. So take note of that. That they are not learners with low intelligence. They are not stubborn. They are not lazy. Something that they are careless and that they are spiritually. They are not. All these are misconceptions. What we have to do as teachers is identify their interests, identify their abilities. So I was talking of EDL.